When we're in pre-production, it feels like a gigantic machine, you know? When you're shooting, it feels that you have just enough, because we are hoping to do these very ambitious shots. Hello everyone, hola, ¿cómo están? I'm Diego Luna. I play Cassian Andor in the show Andor.
I'm Tony Gilroy. I am the creator and executive producer of Andor on Disney+.
And this is Variety Making a Scene.
Hey, I hope things work out for you.
Rebellions are built on hope.
We build things on this show. We built Ferrex in the first season. Now we were going to build something bigger. We knew we were going to be investing very heavily in Ghorman. To build a world, a planet, a city like that, at that scale, you have to really use it. We knew that it would be a centerpiece of the show. It's a centerpiece in canon. In the 5 years that I get to curate, it's a critical moment in the history of the rebellion, and yet it's very undescribed. There was a mandate and a demand to do it, but there was no information about what it was, which is kind of the best thing for us.
Everything was happening at the same time when we were shooting with all the cameras, and there was days that was big, huge, you know. All the extras were there, the stunts, all the cues were triggered at the same time for you to react to them. But also there was days where it was you by yourself, pretending you're in the middle of everything.
The most challenging part for me was to try to calibrate the timing of everything and to try to calibrate where everybody is. When you do these kinds of scenes where you have lots of characters that you're trying to follow quite a few stories there, and this is almost real time what's happening. The whole episode is primarily just this thing. Nothing can stop. Just tracking Diego's path from the hotel in time is a science project, and every single person has to get their own little science project.
There was a lot of talks and a walkthrough to understand what happened, when and where. The set works fantastically. So we went to the places to see the perspective of what I can see and what I can't, because the logic of the space made everything clear for us.
We knew that the massacre would be taking place in a town square. We also knew that we didn't want to do anything that looked or felt like anything that we had done before. We also wanted a prosperous planet. We wanted a place that was well off, politically connected, not an easy place for the Empire to take down. It's not even just the architecture and the construction, it's designing a place for the story and for what the directors are going to be able to make the most of. Without really detailed instruction or mandate, Lucal gives us this absolutely astonishing little stadium to play in. He fits it into the aesthetic of what we've already built, and the cafe, and then the brocante shops that are around it, and the hotel.
One of my favorite parts of the pre-production process is to go with Michael Wilkinson and go through all the designs for the whole season, you know. It's fascinating to see all of the work and all of the questions asked before they even go to start like building the clothes. And same happens with the spaces and stages, and same happens with all the looks for makeup and hair.
Before we ever got to the writer's room, we had a very good handle on Ghorman. The prep is 3.5, 4 months, and does not include the prep that Luke and I did before we even started the room. So, I mean, this is a year-long project.
Weeks, not days, to shoot an episode. Just the fight with Cyril was 2.5 days. We worked on that fight for, I would say, months. There was many different choreographies we did before we all agreed on one, you know, that Tony was really happy about, and that explained the whole story that the fight has to tell. And then the shooting of that was painful, literally. All my body ached. That's when I went like, I'm so glad we're shooting this season now that I can still move, because in a few years I won't be able to do this. I felt old. But it was very cool at the same time, because we owned every move, every hit. There's art on hitting, but also on receiving. We had these amazing team of stunts. There's a lot of learning for the director, for the DOP, obviously for us as actors, you know, and that all comes from the team of stunts.
The fight between Diego and Kyle is something we've done on every movie. It's a fight scene. That's old school. I mean, we've all been through that many, many times before. It's really marvelously done. Mark Maley did a really great job on it. It's amazing, and it's tasteful, and it tells the story. But what happens outside on the square, what Mark Maley does out there with his people, the stuff with the KX units, to be honest with you, that's a far more unusual and difficult thing to do. A tremendous amount of this is in camera. We do set extensions, and obviously the droids are animated and the blaster tracers are added in afterwards. But by and large, this is happening in camera. It's really as practical as you can possibly imagine, and then enhanced. We can't have the 2,000 people that we want to have out there. So we have to tile them. We have to cheat. We have to cheat all the way through. Maybe we can have 300, 400 people.
Obviously, there is CGI and there is visual effects, but everything you are interacting with is actually there. It's quite a thing, you know, the amount of work that Luke Hall puts behind the sets. It has its own cinematic approach because actually directors can feel the space and understand what happens when you put the camera here versus there, because there's objects, there's depth. And that for us is beautiful as actors, you know, because you understand how the logic of the space asks you to play the scene. Yes, obviously, if there's a huge building, we build the first floors of the building and then the rest gets painted later. The building of those 2 floors make the big difference, you know, because you are there, you walk through it, you come from inside to outside. For example, the hotel has this entrance, right? So you go from the plaza and then you go through the doors, you come in the lobby, you have the reception, you have the bar on the left, and you go through some stairs to the rooms on the back. All of that exists, and everything is moving when you're acting. So when we were playing that interaction in the reception, you have the whole hotel moving behind you, you know, and it's there, and all the creatures and characters are there. The extras, they're all characters, and wardrobe and makeup and hair take the same amount of time on extras than any other role or speaking part of the show. So it's fabulous, you know, as an actor. You don't get that often in this business, you know, where you are actually interacting with this level of production. And all of that process is wonderful, because when you are on set, you know what you're doing, and most importantly, you know why. When there's a chase, that moment where the KX unit is chasing and everyone is running away and it's just like throwing people, getting people out of the way. They have cables and lines and they are actually flying, you know, while you're running, and it's happening, you know, it's happening. Then obviously a lot of VFX work comes in. Those guys are really good. Obviously, they're cleaning up a lot of things that have to be there for safety. There's also a lot of design in the process of visual effects. The beauty of Andor is that you can get so deep that you might forget you're in this galaxy far, far away. You are just in a place that actually exists. That's the strength of that episode, that it's a massacre that feels like personal. It's happening. You're looking at it and you go like, shit, those are people suffering. Those are people being hurt. And all that destruction is actually happening. And the work of, VFX, stunts, obviously production design, makeup, hair. Yeah, it's incredible.
Can't stress enough, particularly for your audience. I mean, the role that ADs play when it comes to crowds, when it comes to background, I don't think ever gets anywhere near the attention that it needs to get. Bad background will ruin a great scene, and great background will elevate something. To get 300-400 people to show up in costume for many, many weeks in a row, to have the people show back up again because they're happy to go back to work, and get there and all feel like they're doing something important, and they are, and to be inspired every day. Sean Guest and the AD's department, this is a tour de force.
It's a work of so many people. So many pieces have to be in place that people don't know, but it's fascinating, you know. That's the beauty of these jobs. It's teamwork at its best.